Hello and welcome back to the Pre-Retiree Academy. Today's recorded module is an overview of Social Security. And Social Security program, as many of you know, is very robust with lots of tricky rules. And today we're just going to touch on some things that everyone needs to know. We're going to keep it really high level because of the complexities with the program. We don't really need to get into deep into the weeds of any specific certain scenario. If you all have questions about a specific scenario that might affect you, then I would encourage you to maybe reach out and email or bring that up in a one-on-one meeting if we do that. The other great resources that you can have in terms of Social Security are ssa.gov. That is the actual Social Security Administration's website. Or if you have a very specific question that might be pressing in terms of time, you might be better off calling your local Social Security Administration office. So today, just as a review, really quickly from the first week, it's really important to kind of identify your specific sources of income available to you in retirement. Obviously today we're going to talk about Social Security, and that's a big part of it, but knowing what your income is from any retirement plans or pensions, maybe assets that you have, income from earnings, and other savings vehicles as well. Just remember that if you haven't figured your specific income need, that the average income need that we recommend in terms of income replacement is 80%. That's 80% of your pre-retirement income in terms of what you're going to need for your standard of living. But Social Security by its original design was and always has been designed only as a safety net. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people that do have to rely on that as their main source of income in retirement, but it shouldn't be your only. I'd like to stress that. And so, on the screen, we talked about that 80% income replacement. Social Security should be maybe 30 to 40% on average. For some people, it might be 50% or more on average. But really, for that 80% purpose, the Social Security should be, ideally 30% in most cases for you. And that's just because Social Security alone is not enough to replace our income. So let's first start with what is Social Security. So Social Security is a social welfare and insurance program that is created and managed by the United States government. It pays benefits to retirees, to disabled people, people who have met their qualifications for disability, and survivors of deceased workers. So widows or widowers in a lot of cases are allowed to draw on Social Security early in the event of a deceased worker, that kind of thing. The system is funded through a payroll tax. I think most people understand that. It is both you as the employee, you pay a payroll tax on that, and as well as your employer. And then those benefits will eventually be paid out once you reach a retirement age or ones that are available that we'll cover in the plan, in the recording today. So how does it work? The payroll tax is levied against your earnings. You become eligible to receive benefits after working 40 quarters of earning at least $1,640 per quarter is what that requirement is for 2023. And your Social Security payout is based on 35 years of your highest income earnings, and it is an average based on those 35 years. So a lot of people, have trouble estimating what that might be. There's a lot of estimators out there on the internet, AARP, that ssa.gov has one, if you don't know exactly what that is. And I would say if you're getting to the point and you don't know what your full retirement age Social Security is, then I would go to ssa.gov, create a login, and you'll be able to see those statements versus having to wait sometimes months and years to get those in the mail. They just don't send them to everybody anymore. But that is one way for you to be able to find out what that is specifically. But here's a look at an approximate Social Security monthly benefit at full retirement age. And these amounts will assume that you are going to be at least age 50 in 2024 and have worked steadily since age 22. And have received average pay increases. Wages and salaries will remain constant under this scenario until retirement. And keep in mind, these are only estimates. So in other words, if you averaged 65,000 over the 35 years in your working career, if that's what your average was, this is about the estimate. $2,245 would approximately be what you would get. I know, not a ton of money, and that's again because it's only designed to be a piece of it, a safety net of that. So a lot of examples for, I think for assumptions and illustrative purposes there, that can be kind of handy. So let's talk about collecting benefits while working. And this is really important for people that are thinking about taking a retirement benefit early, but still working. This is important information to understand. If you collect your before full retirement age, and for most people on this call, it's going to be 66 in like 8 months to 67. But if you collect before your full retirement age and you are still working, you can only earn up to $22,322 in 2024 without any impact on your Social Security benefit. So in other words, you can collect your benefit and then make up to $22,320. If you are under full retirement age for the entire year, then Social Security deducts $1 from your benefit payments for every $2 that you make above the limit, which is $22,320. So if you made $50,000, that'd be roughly 27,000 almost, that you would be above that earnings limit, and they would deduct $1 for every $2 in that. So in other words, you're not even going to get your full benefit if you're still working and making more than $22,320. Now you will earn that back, meaning that once you hit full retirement age, they will start giving you that calculation back, and they will give it to you in an average in the amount of months that they deducted it for. So you will get that back. You won't get it back all at once, but you will get an average of that as you move forward. In the year that you reach full retirement age, Social Security Administration deducts $1 in benefit for every $3 you earn above a different limit. So if you're going to be 67, let's say, in the year that you're reaching that age, you can make, they will only deduct $1 for every $3 above the limit. And that limit goes up to $59,520. So you get like about a year's benefit in terms of getting a little bit more if you start collecting. Once you hit full retirement age, the amount that you earn does not matter. Okay. So beginning in the month that you reach your full retirement age, your earnings no longer reduce on your benefit. So in other words, if you make $100,000, you can start taking your benefit with no impact, no matter how much you earn. So what do we take from that? If you're going to retire, if you're going to semi-retire and thinking about taking your Social Security early, know how much that impacts you, because anything over and above the $22,320, you will not receive your full Social Security benefit for. The IRS will recalculate your benefit and give you credit for the months they reduced it, and give it to you in terms of excess earnings. and Social Security will only count earnings up to the month before you reach. It's also important to know that this is on earned income. This does not count against pensions or withdrawals from like 401ks, those kind of things, and as well as military and a few other things that qualify for that as well. So if you are pulling from getting a pension, those don't count towards that earnings limit, at least today. Let's talk about taxation for Social Security. If you're filing as an individual, between $25,000 and $34,000, you may have to pay tax on or up to 50% of your benefit. If you make more than $34,000 in retirement, then up to 85% of your benefit is taxable. I say this most of the time. For most of the people I'll see, about 70 to 85% of that benefit is taxable income for you. Social Security is not taxed at a state level. So you do have that going for you as well. If you're filing a joint return, that number goes, instead of 25, between 25 and 34, it's between 32,000 and 44,000. You may have to pay taxes on up to about 50% of your benefit. Okay. And above, anything above that would 85% of that Social Security benefit would be taxed. So if you choose to take your own, not your spouse's Social Security benefit before full retirement age, be aware that the benefit is permanently reduced. And the actual formula is it's reduced by 0.5% for each month before full retirement age that you start. It's a big hit. So let's assume you stop working at age 62 and your full retirement age is 67. If you elect to start benefits at age 62, the reduced benefit calculation is based on about 60 months. So the reduction for the first 36 months is 20%, or 0.5% times 36. And then the other 10% is 0.5% times 24 months for the remaining 24 months, for a total of 60. So overall, your benefits would be permanently reduced, other than cost of living adjustments, permanently reduced by 30%. So you can see 67 full retirement age, 62, 70% is what your benefit is going to be, 70% of that, in terms of that. So we need to be very methodical in how or why we are taking our benefits early. We'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. On the other side of that coin, what if you delay taking your benefits? Well, if you delay taking your benefits after full retirement age is 100% of your benefit. So most people on the call, that's 67, like we said. If you're 68, it will increase your benefit by 8%, and 8% every year until the age of 70. So if you wait the full 4 years to take your benefit, you will actually get 124% of your benefit that you receive from Social Security, 124% of that benefit at full retirement age. So real important to kind of understand that. I will say this, I have on a few occasions recommended that people wait till 70, but in a lot of cases, a lot of this is going to come down to what you think your life expectancy is. And that's a long time to wait. Everybody has a different view of this. And there is actually break-even calculators based on how long you think you might live that will help you kind of gather some information on this. But a lot of it is honestly just feel in your own personal behavior. These are just some examples. I'm not going to spend much time on these. If your average annual salary is $45,000, of what it looks like at 62, then all the way up to 67. This doesn't include the spousal benefit, which is 50% of your spouses, as long as you've been married for more than 10 years. At 80,000, this is kind of what it looks like if your average salary is at from 62 all the way to 67. Pretty big difference there as well. Also, it's very important for considerations when we're deciding is when to take your Social Security. So if you're contemplating early retirement and you have sufficient resources in your investment portfolio or pension or other sources of income, then you could probably be more flexible about when you take those Social Security. So if you need your Social Security benefits to make ends meet, meaning that you don't have the ability to have much income, you're going to have to rely on this as the most part, then you may want to consider either postponing retirement or working part-time until you reach that full retirement age to maximize the amount that you're going to get in perpetuity. And you got to do that because you have fewer options, right? It's not the best scenario, but we have to do what we have to do. And then, when deciding when, it's like I mentioned before, if you think you're going to beat the average in life expectancy, then waiting for a larger monthly check is probably the right idea and a good deal. On the other hand, if you're in poor health or you have reason to believe that you're not going to beat the average, then you might decide to take that as early as you can or when that makes the best sense for you based on if you're continuing to work or not. How should I decide to take those benefits? There's a couple different ways you can do it. If you're married, start by, taking your spouse's age, health, and their particular Social Security benefit into account, particularly if they're a higher earning spouse. I see this in stay-at-home moms that have a high earning spouse, that it definitely behooves the spouse to wait as long as possible before he or she starts taking their benefit at full retirement age. Because that way, your spouse can take 50% of your benefit, and it's at a benefit that is, larger and there. If you're divorced and you were married for 10 years or more, you can receive benefits based on your ex-spouse's Social Security record, up to 50% of their full benefit. So if your ex-spouse's 50% benefit, as long as you're married for 10 years, is more than what your benefit is, then you should file under your ex-spouse, and you can, and there's nothing wrong with that. Makes no difference if they're married. It might make a difference if you're married, a couple remarried, those kind of things. But, if you're single and your ex-spouse has a larger benefit, if 50% is a larger benefit than yours, then you should do that. Take note, this doesn't impact your spouse's uses of this, and it won't impact your benefit at all. If you're widowed, you can receive either your own retirement benefits of 100% or your spouse's benefit, whichever is greater. And it's important to make the most effective use of the combination of worker spousal benefit. And so that's where some of this gets very tricky, but that's something to think about. How continuing, how do I decide to take benefits on a continued basis? Your employment status. Earning a wage can reduce your benefit, as we learned earlier. So if you're still going to work, then it's probably best, in my opinion, in almost every case, to wait to file for that Social Security. And the year that you reach full retirement age, that reduction changes. So if you're just under $60,000 in terms of income, then maybe you should go on and start taking it. It really won't impact your benefits. But again, any reduction to benefits due to earnings test is only temporary. You'll receive the money back later. But if you can still do well with what you're doing by what you're making out of your employment, then doesn't it make sense to delay taking your Social Security so you can get a higher benefit in perpetuity forever? Yeah, probably does. So to wait or not wait. So to consider taking benefits earlier if you're no longer working, you don't have enough, and you just need money for ends meet. For sure, do what you have to do. If you're in poor health, you don't expect and don't expect the surviving member of the household to make it to average life expectancy, probably should look to taking it early. If you are the lower earning spouse and your higher earning spouse can wait to file for the benefit, then you probably should look into taking it or not. It also just depends on if your benefit's going to be higher than 50% of theirs. That has to come into. I would wait to take benefits if you're still working, and if it's going to, reduce what your benefit is. The reduced earnings just is, to me, it like that you can't even put the money to good use because you don't get all of it. So, and you freeze what you're able to get. So either you or your spouse is in good health, and you're expected to exceed life expectancy, probably makes sense to wait then. If you are a higher earning spouse and want to make sure your surviving spouse has the highest benefit possible, then you should wait to take yours to full retirement age or longer if you can. I also say this, a large age gap between spouses, can be very useful of going on taking it early as well. Now, I'm not going to go over all of these strategies because they have hypothetical examples and I want to be mindful of your time. I am going to send out a recording of this video. We'll cover a couple more things, but I'm not going to cover these strategies on there. And there's about 5 slides that will help it, and will give you examples of each of how to maximize lifetime benefits, or should you claim early due to health, who benefits, and then an example of that, maximizing survivor benefits, and then there are, for very rare people that might be on this call, for those that are 70 and over, filing what's called a restricted application. That used to be known as file and suspend. That means you can go on and take your spouse's before you file for yours. But for everybody in that, except for a select few that are just under 70, you have to be born before January 1st, 54. So everybody's turning 70 this year, and it really won't be applicable anymore, but there might be 1 or 2 people that this is. So that will cover that, and you can go over that on your own time. I will also put a copy of the slide deck only when we send this out. And so you can, if you have any questions on reviewing those, that's good. A couple of questions that I get a lot in terms of Social Security is, especially for middle age or young people, is like, will it even be around for me? And so, due to changes in Social Security that were enacted in '83, benefits are expected to be payable on a full and timely basis till about 2041. That's plus or minus a little bit. That's about the time that the Social Security trust reserves will be exhausted. But once the reserves are used up, the expectation is that the revenue from payroll taxes alone are going to be enough to pay about 76% of the benefits. And it's going to be enough to kind of pay all the benefits that we need, but it won't be enough for like cost of living adjustments, depending on what disability looks like, and survivors benefits. There could be some changes that come if our legislatures don't make some changes. Some of those discussions have been starting, but at the time that the shortfalls occurred, it still should be pretty stable for all of those collecting Social Security should be able to receive their checks. However, you might not be able to get cost of living adjustments and some of those other benefits that come with it. So to answer the question, yes, I think it will be around for people on this call, everybody on this call. I do think changes will be coming. I don't know exactly how those changes will go because that's so much is up in the air. It wouldn't surprise me if they raise retirement age, full retirement age from 67 to 68. That won't shock me. Won't shock me if they increase the payroll tax and maybe start that on the employer side and then drift it down to people. I don't think a big increase is really needed mathematically from what I've read to have a really big impact on that. I think that some of those changes you're going to see coming down probably in the next 1 to 5 years, if hopefully that's hopeful they get to it sooner than later, because the longer they wait, the worse off it could be. So conclusion real quick. Take the time to understand your cash flow and really see what that Social Security is going to be an impact for you. Then you can decide based on what that impact is, what your plan is for taking it early or maybe waiting to full retirement age in that. And remember, just because you retire doesn't mean you have to take Social Security. And you can delay retirement and then take Social Security, but you can retire and live off other means and let your Social Security continue to grow. This is not a zero-sum game. There are a lot of factors that have to be really considered on this. I'm happy to help with your path in terms of that. We have some tools in terms of break-even tools for Social Security. But you intuitively knowing your own needs and what you think that's best for you and the best time to probably start it. It's not crazy difficult. If you have any questions regarding Social Security, please feel free to reach out. I might not know the answer to every question off the top of my head, because when I mean that Social Security has a lot of rules, it has a lot of rules, and we barely, as my coworker said today, got skeletal on this. I mean, just the bare bones. It is a wormhole to go down that is very tricky and can be confusing. And I might not know a specific question off the top of my head. However, one of my coworkers and our chief financial officer and chief planner, her office is 2 doors down from me, and she has a really great book that I go in and get, and it's about, I don't know, where's the camera? It's about this thick. I mean, it's huge, and small print. And so I can find anything I need to in there. I can kind of help with that. So if you have some tricks or some worries with that, I encourage you to kind of set up that call or email me, and we'll work it the best we can. And when in doubt, check that Social Security website. It actually is pretty efficient. There's a lot of good information and a ton of tools on there. If you aren't getting statements, I would log in and create that login, or go to Social Security SSA.gov and create that login, and you'll be able to track what that is and what that looks like at any age. The Social Security statement, when you pull it up, is going to have your full retirement age. It's going to have 62, and it's going to have 70, sorry. But then it will point to you on that sheet tools where you can figure out what it's going to be at, say, 65, those kind of things. So listen, that's all I've got for today. That's 27 minutes, more than I wanted to go. Hopefully you found the information in this video useful. If you have any questions, call me back or reach out and schedule a meeting, and I'll help you any way I can. I will. Otherwise, we got some 2 more modules coming out next week. So I hope you guys are well and getting back in the swing of things after spring breaks and those kind of things as well. That's all I have today. I hope you all have a good one, and I'll see you soon. Bye.